Injection with me, Shonette, and today my special guest is Kat. We are going to get you off your head with happiness and self-love without drugs or alcohol.
No drugs or alcohol.
But like us, if you like to lose a calorie or two, we may even make you laugh and jiggle those calories off. I would like to introduce my best COVID buddy. Kat and I met each other, I don't know how long ago really, maybe it's a year, 18 months ago, in a hotel. This sounds a bit wrong now. In a hotel at breakfast. We hadn't slept together. It was just a breakfast meeting. And the thing that I noticed about her was her confidence and her energy. She walked into the room and I thought, wow, she's beautiful. And I thought, confident, and she just was like morning and that's how happiness is so unique that I don't think many people actually come into breakfast like that. Most people are too worried, I think, about, where do I go, where do I sit, where do I go? But Kat was like, and was like, hello, I'm here. And my daughter Jasmine was there as well, and we started talking about self-love and body image and all of those kind of things that I'm super interested in. Like I said on my previous podcast about self-love, because lots of self-help cliches out there about self-love, and actually then fast forward to lockdown. I followed Kat on Instagram straight away, and we've become friends like that. We weren't really friends, were we? I think we were like people who met in a hotel at breakfast.
We had a lot in common, and we sent a few messages back and forth, and I think I helped you a few times with a few dilemmas, I think. And then we, just from following each other on Instagram and liking and sharing and just kind of that 21st century friendship.
Definitely. But then when I had my breakup and was quite open about it on social media because I was quite traumatised, Kat said, what's going on with you? I've had a similar situation. We told each other the ins and outs, and basically we're having parallel traumas. And instead of colluding, because this podcast marks our 18th week of freedom, of self-love, we, instead of colluding, we decided to kind of become each other's kind of self-love partner or kick-ass bitch at times, I'll just say, and support each other through what was actually very traumatic at the time. If we think back, it even makes me well up a little bit to I was a wreck. I think you were a wreck. There was a lot of crying.
Yeah, I kept
probably a lot of snot.
Yeah, I
that we didn't share.
Kept a smooth sail going, but underneath it was like traumatic,
like duck's legs where they're going. And in our openness and honesty with each other and commitment to get through this, but I think get through this without doing what we'd done before. Lots of your self-love patterns will be destructive, I think. That's the problem with self-love, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, and sometimes it's what we're used to doesn't always work. It'll last maybe for a week or two, and then we want to and then it'll dwindle down like any kind of thing of going to the gym.
Yeah,
I
think self-love on social media is very much about, we're going to a spa day.
Yeah, let's have a face mask.
Let's put on a face mask. Now, don't get me wrong. You sent me some things the other day, and I did have a pamper afternoon with myself. And I personally don't like going to spas because I think they're dirty places. I'll just say, I once knew a jacuzzi fitter who told me about what was in jacuzzi. So anyway,
I think stuff like that, face mask, is self-care, which is an element of
self-love. Beautiful. Yeah. So, to all our beautiful listeners who want more self-love, who are sat here maybe listening or watching on our Happiness Injection YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe. I want to get up there. I want a golden button. Anyway. Get over that. One of the things is, how do we actually love ourselves? And I think number one, what we've learned is be patient with yourself massively, because it's not going to happen. It's not a tablet. It's not a quick fix. It doesn't come in a gin glass. I mean, one of the things I just said to my son is we're having a karaoke party tonight to celebrate it, and we're having some raspberry sours, and my son was like, why don't you get these other drinks? And I was like, because we don't really drink. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, for the whole of this period, we haven't had an alcoholic drink. We don't really drink anyway, but we haven't had alcohol, because I think if I'd had alcohol, then I would have texted people crying on the phone, hello, please take me back, you know, those kinds of...
And we don't want that. We want our self-respect.
Self-respect is number one. So what have we done in 18 weeks of self-love?
I think firstly, the first biggest tip is to sit with your shit and deal with it. And it's
brutal
not,
truth.
And it is, like, we're going to be real here.
Yeah.
It is about sitting with this. I don't know if you think
shit,
any different
stuff,
but
darkness,
shadow, stuff that's whatever you're going through now. It's potentially stuff that you've not dealt with for many years, many years.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you to the person soaring outside, because that's really giving another dynamic to the podcast. But yeah, it is sitting with your shit, and it's like that. It's a distraction. Yeah. If you have got something inside yourself, and I think everybody has got some darkness inside of themselves, whatever it is, it's almost like my therapist calls it the hole. He says everybody's got like a hole, and what you do is you don't sit in your hole.
We try to fill it.
And you might fill it with alcohol. You might fill it with chocolate. You might fill it with drugs. You know, not me personally, but you might fill it with drugs. Other people do.
Or just people pleasing. Just you're looking somewhere else for it, and you're not actually filling it yourself.
And busyness.
Yeah.
One of the things that COVID did was stop that, because you can't be super busy. Yeah. I can see people now coming back being super busy, but that is also a way not to sit in it. Yeah. And sitting in your shit is a bit like probably sitting in a pile of manure. It absolutely stinks. You feel sick. Yeah. But it's so you want to get up,
you want to shower, you want to go do. Oh, let's go shopping. Anything to distract yourself from sitting with it. And actually, what probably COVID learned, even if you distract yourself for a week by baking, the next week it'd still come back to that same stuff,
It's always there.
It's always there.
And so sit in it, and by that we're not going like encouraging you to go out and sleep in manure, but what we actually mean is be aware of what it is. What is it? And for us, it was relationship patterns. Yeah. Bad relationship patterns. Always attracting people that it doesn't work out with for various reasons. And not necessarily because it's me, because it's them.
It's not me.
If you're listening, X, it's you, not me. But truth is, it's me. I needed to sit with it.
I was just gonna say that actually it is us, because it's something that we haven't addressed with us. Yeah. So when we say like sit in it, we don't mean wallow in it either, or I'd be like, oh my god, I'm this terrible person. It's dealing with it and walking through the journey, and if that's through, I find journaling really useful. Coaching.
And what do you mean by that, journaling? Because like journaling simply to me is you get your own notebook, and it's like, you know, when you were younger and you had a diary with a lock, it's a bit like that, and you just write it all out, get it all out 100%. Because the more you talk about it, like Kat and I have held each other's hands, but the more you talk about it, we call it going down the rabbit hole. You know, Robin Sharma, the monk, isn't it, of happiness, talks about it being a yellow taxi, but actually it's literally going down a rabbit hole with your thoughts. So we'll talk, then we'll spiral each other downward. And we realised we were doing that about week 3 or 4, that every time we talked, we ended up in tears. We ended up going down our own rabbit hole about the person. And so we said to each other, we're going to stop it, and we're going to stop talking about it, and we're going to start journaling it. And if you come up with something out of that, because very often that is a massive self-help to help self, because when you're journaling, you often think of the solution, and you're like, oh, actually, and we share the positive.
I've done it so many times. I've journaled probably for about 3 years now, when I really started my journey in Australia for like self-love. And it's when we say that, and I literally say, like, because I'm spiritual, I start going, dear universe, thank you for today. And then I'll start with my what's gone on that day and what's maybe triggered me and upset me. And I can literally, sometimes I might not write a lot, but sometimes I'll keep going and I'll literally get to the solution of, hang on, I feel like that because of that. And that actually started 10 years ago when that happened. And instead of doing that, now I've addressed that, I'm going to now heal it.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is sitting in your shit, get it all out onto paper.
Yeah.
Have a buddy or a coach, because Kat is a self-love coach, okay? And get somebody to help you see, if you can't see, look, this is what you're doing, this is what you're saying. I actually, through it, went to therapy because I actually felt like I'm 48 years old and actually I need somebody with a certificate psychology, as I need a psychotherapist to get me at it, to let me know what this shit is. And I've been going all the way through now. I've been going 7 or 8 weeks now, 2 months. Yesterday, a massive revelation, and I actually, even you said on the phone, you were like, do you feel, one of my friends said, do you feel strong? And I was like, incredible Hulk level strong.
Wow.
And you said, didn't you, even your voice changed.
Sounded totally different.
And I think that's the thing about self-love, is it's not a face mask and a pamper. That's self-care.
Yes.
Self-love is something much deeper, much more beautiful, much more powerful, and that's why we're here today together to celebrate, because that's the other thing. Celebrate your shit.
Yeah.
You know, because actually the more you celebrate your shit, other people go, do you know what, that was my shit as well.
And I found that from because I'm quite an open person, and that's really what started with us, from going, actually I'm struggling and this is what's happened, is so many more people go, oh, I've been through that. And it'll be a different kind of our journeys are different in our own way, but there's similarities that brought us together that we could relate on, and that's where I think self-love, kind of the journey, starts.
Yeah. And I think that on the next podcast, I'm going to talk about the inner lemon sucker and how that affects self-love, because very often the things that you tell yourself in your own head massively impact. But we're going to be friends forever. We're going to the seaside. We're going to see the seals. We're going to go out for tea with Cammy.
Yes.
We're going to be in positive energy. Yeah. And we are going to have a karaoke party that marks the change in our own behaviour. And I know that we will slip up in the future, we will lose self-love again, but I actually know how to get it back. And I know with you that if you drop yours, I'll pick it up for you. And what more can you say? Where can we find you? Because Kat actually has a self-love coaching course that she does, which you can pop over and find her at.
So I'm on Instagram on _beingwell, and that's BEEINGWELL.
Okay, I couldn't do that because it was too fast. But we will. There's links all over, and I'm often doing her on my Instagram at Bastard. Like and subscribe if you love this. Share it with a friend, because I think everybody needs to know about self-love. And maybe by sharing it with a friend, then your friend will say, do you know what, come on, let's sit in our shit together. And then maybe have a gin after. Because we'll be having a raspberry sour. Thanks for listening, and guess what? I love you. So why don't you take this opportunity at the end of this podcast to actually think about loving yourself, because I think that isn't a self-help cliche, because once you get there you will be as beautiful and happy as we are. Karaoke party later.